Namaste,
Right.
yogis. This is Adrienne.
And Natalie.
Welcome to another episode of How Yoga Changed My Life, a podcast. Today, I am very lucky to be joined by one of my teachers that I work with in the club, Shelley. How are you today?
I'm amazing. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. I got to meet Shelley last year when I started at the club, and she's an amazing yoga teacher. And I've been really excited to have her on the podcast for a long time now and hear her story. Because, you know, when you start at a new club and you're getting to know people, you don't always get like the down and dirty details about their yoga journey, you know, their backgrounds or anything like that. So I'm interested to hear from you about that. I got Natalie here as well. Natalie is driving right now. And so she is coming back from Houston. Yes. And we're glad that she can join us, but she's going to stay on mute and then she's going to pop in every once in a while just because, you know, if she gets it near Buc-ee's or there's a lot of traffic, you know, all the background noises.
If I get near Buc-ee's, I might have to stop.
Exactly. Well, definitely bring me back a Buc-ee's treat and just please both hands on the steering wheel, drive safely.
I promise.
Good.
I promise.
Good. All right. So let's get started. Shelley, why don't you just introduce yourself to our audience?
All righty. Well, I am Shelley White. I've been practicing yoga since 2019 regularly and teaching for almost 3 years now, which feels wild to me because it simultaneously feels like I've been doing this forever and I just started last week.
Right. It's like one of those things I always feel like I'm still a beginner.
Yes,
when
absolutely.
I hit my mat. There's some of those days where you're like, damn, why can't I just like get into it, you know? But it's just, it's hard. I think
Teach me, guide me.
yeah, exactly. I think that's one thing about yoga is that it's, you're always a beginner. You're always learning something new because your body changes every single day.
Oh, don't I know it.
So tell us about your yoga origin story.
So little background. I grew up extremely conservative evangelical and was from a large religious homeschooling family. And so my earliest memories of yoga are of being told that yoga is demonic.
Wow.
And when Michelle Obama was the first lady and brought yoga to the White House lawn, a lot of people in my community were all up in arms about she was bringing devil worship into our country and into our schools. So those were my earliest memories of yoga.
Wow. So
of staying far away.
So you were homeschooled in an evangelical Christian
bubble. Yes.
Bubble. And what was that like?
That was, we could do a whole episode just on that. I was raised by highly intelligent parents who did a really great job academically, homeschooling. The problem with that kind of culture and community is you are very isolated and very sheltered, not just ideologically, but socially. And there were a lot of gaps that I had. I had an amazing English education, a decent math education. I struggled with math, but who doesn't?
I know. Girl math.
Yeah, exactly. Girl math is where I live.
Yes.
So there are things I'm grateful for, absolutely, but I wouldn't recommend it, and knew early on I would not homeschool my kids.
So did you have like extracurricular activities as a kid, like that you got to do, whether it be like, you know, Natalie homeschooled her kids. So like she was schlepping them all over the place, you know?
That was coming online when I was in high school. Was co-oping got a lot more popular. So in my early years, it was mostly music extracurriculars. I was a piano performance major. I switched to business, but I have played piano pretty much my entire life.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. And I sing. I love to sing. And I was part of a homeschool drama troupe for a little bit.
Oh, wow.
In middle school and high school. But I didn't do a lot of the schlepping that a lot of homeschool moms end up doing, or homeschool parents. But my younger siblings did. They were, I was kind of, they were phasing that in as I was about to graduate.
So how many siblings are there?
9.
You're one of 9?
I'm one of 9, yeah.
How come I didn't even know that? Okay, wait, elaborate. So what are the ages?
That's crazy, Shelley.
I know, right?
Do I not give off lots of siblings energy?
Where do you fall in the lineup?
Fun fact, I'm 7 of 9.
Wow.
Which is a Star Trek reference, I'm told.
Really? I
7
don't
of 9, I guess, is a thing in the Star Trek universe, but I wasn't really into Star Trek. So I have 5 sisters and 3 brothers.
Wow.
All 5 sisters are older than me. I am a professional baby sister. Like that was my first role in life, was little sister.
Baby doll.
Yes, exactly. And I have 1 older brother, and my other 2 brothers are younger than me.
Wow. So are they all still in Texas?
No. Let's see. I have 1 brother that lives about 20 minutes from me. He lives on the Riverwalk. I have a sister in Austin. And those 2 are my best friends in the entire world. And then I have 3 siblings in the DFW Metroplex, 1 in Oklahoma City, 1 in Ohio, and 1 in Minnesota.
Wow.
I think that's everybody, right?
That's amazing.
So we're pretty spread out. And my parents live in the Ozarks, so that's kind of where we converge for holidays. And summertime is going to the lake in the Ozarks.
So where did you grow up?
Are there any other yogis?
No, actually. Well, one of my sisters, I think, practices yoga and meditation, my sister in Oklahoma City. But other than that, no, I will sometimes force them to practice with me when we go to the lake to see my parents. I'll put mats out on the deck. But yeah, no, this was a me thing for sure.
Now, my next question is, do they think that you're demonic?
No.
Okay, good.
Great question. Yeah.
Good.
Even my parents, who were definitely steeped in anti-yoga ideology for a long time, have ended up being very supportive, which has been really now, beautiful.
Are they still wrapped up in the religious group?
They are. My parents are very religious. They're very evangelical Christian. And I would say about half my siblings are. Wow. Yeah.
No judgment to you for kind of taking the yogi route then?
I wouldn't say no judgment.
Are you the black sheep of the family?
That's hard to say because
there's another front runner.
there's a few. Yeah. There's definitely been kind of a chasm between those of us who have stayed more religious and those of us who have departed from it. But what I will say is that we maintain amicable relationships with each other.
That's great.
There hasn't been any writing off or going no contact or anything like that, against all odds.
So what's the age range then?
My oldest sister is 50. She turned 50 this year. And then my youngest brother is 28.
Wow.
So that's the spread.
Wow. So
and we were military too. So we'd moved every 2 to 4 years.
Wow. Can you even imagine that? Like having 9 children, being in the military, homeschooling in an evangelical religious group, and have to move.
Very niche. Yeah.
I mean, like, that's crazy though. That's so crazy. That must have been so hard on your mother and your father. Like, that's crazy.
It was hard, and they are very resilient people. I wouldn't recommend the way that they made those decisions because it ended up being a lot of parentification of the older siblings. That was not my experience, but I know that it was my older siblings' experience of just having to raise the younger set of kids because it was too much. It's too much for 2 people.
Well, I mean, I don't know how you could. Like, you have to have some sort of like village that set up kind of thing that, there's like a hierarchy of siblings to help out around the house,
Exactly. And I'm all for the village, but adults get to choose to participate in that, and older siblings really don't.
Right. It's like that. Yeah. It's the lucky sperm club in that sense that you were born as more of the baby of the family than you were the older sibling. Jeez, that's crazy. So when did you first experience yoga then?
So when I was engaged to my now husband, this must have been 2010, 2011. Maybe we were still dating. We weren't engaged yet. I got invited to a Bikram class, the artist formerly known as Bikram.
That's perfect.
And I was still I was very Christian at the time and still very cautious and hesitant, but I just said, yes, I would go check it out. So
what made you decide to go and try it?
I wanted to know for myself.
Yeah.
And even though I stayed religious for a very long time after this time period, I was already starting to ask questions and just be curious and open about, okay, are we right about everything?
Yeah. Exactly.
If this is as evil as people are saying, nobody would be doing it. It wouldn't be so mainstream, you know?
Right. Like, wouldn't there be more of us?
Exactly. So we went to the 90-minute, super, super hot. And I thought I was going to die. I mean, I was never an athlete. I was not in shape. I had no idea what to expect, but it was so hard. So I was like, okay, never doing that again.
That's for the devil.
Yeah. And then I just, I walked away from that experience being like, okay, I don't think there's any devil worship here.
Yeah.
It's not something I need, but I'm not scared of it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
So I keep living my life. And then fast forward to 2019, I was coming out of probably the worst depressive episode I've ever had. And I was on a lot of different medications. I was being seen by a really, really horrible psychologist who just really fucked me over medication wise.
That's what they do.
That's what they do.
That's their job, is to write scripts. They're not there to talk to you.
Exactly.
Which is really a thing that people don't understand. It's like you can go to a psychiatrist, and some psychiatrists will, meet with you and talk with you and work with you from a therapy standpoint. But the most part, they have the prescription pad.
Exactly. And I had gone to this particular clinic. I was on one antidepressant, and my stated intention was to get off of it. When I checked myself out, when I discharged myself in 2019, I was on 6 different medications.
Wow.
And it took me 12 months with a new clinic to wean off of all of it. But
so when you said you checked yourself out, so you checked yourself in. And where'd you go? You went to like a psychiatric hospital?
Not a hospital, but I was a patient at a psychiatric clinic.
What made you decide to do that?
To
check in, how bad was it? It must have been really bad.
It was really bad. And I had a lot of trauma to unpack, and I had not ever taken my mental health seriously and knew that I needed help. And I'd gotten on an antidepressant when I was pregnant, actually.
Oh, wow.
With my second, because I had had horrible postpartum depression with my first.
Oh, no.
And I was scared of that happening again.
Right.
So my OB actually put me on an antidepressant, and that was the start of my medication journey. And wanted help. I wanted to get off of it, and I wanted a more holistic approach to mental health. But the clinic just really fucked me over. And so I left in 2019 on 6 different medications, horribly depressed, dissociated, very numb, because I was on a lot of
you were just
medicine.
There. Yeah.
I was just there. And I walked into a yoga class kind of on a whim. It was a power vinyasa class at the club where I still work out and where I teach now. And at the end of class, I just started bawling.
Yeah.
And I was like, what just happened to me? I don't know what happened. And it was very different than the Bikram class I had taken. It was fast moving. There was no, you didn't just hold every pose for however many breaths. You were constantly in motion. And I got into my car and called my husband, and I was like, how have we been paying for this all this time? And I've never taken one of these classes. Like, I've been paying for this.
Yeah.
And I've never even walked into this room. And I'll never forget, my husband's in sales, and so his schedule's always up and down, and lots of surprises, lots of curveballs. And I was really struggling to handle that. We had 3 little kids. And I'm in the car. I called him to tell him I had just taken a yoga class and that I felt like it had changed my life.
Yeah, right.
And he said, that's amazing. By the way, I'm so sorry, but I had a dinner add-on for tonight. And he braces for impact. And I was like, okay. And he was like, what?
Yeah. Like, oh my God, you're not going to lose your shit.
Yeah. And that had never happened to me before. I was fine with it.
Wow.
And that was so foreign to both of us.
That you didn't freak out that he wasn't going to be coming home for dinner. That was
exactly.
the point. Yeah. So you were like, and I know that my husband traveled for a living for a very long time, like 70, 80% of the time. And so for me, it was like when things would change and then he would come home early or not be home in time for dinner or for whatever the kids had going on. It was really hard.
Yeah, it was hard.
Yeah.
And I was struggling to adapt to it. Again, this was years ago. He's been doing this for forever. And so time and experience and yoga just helped me kind of learn how to flow. But I'll just never forget that first day of feeling in my body like, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was 2019. And I literally just never looked back.
Wow.
And started going pretty much every day.
Wow. And what's crazy about that too, because like if you think about it, 2019 and then you hit 2020 and COVID hits.
Yeah.
And so you had just been on this, mental health journey to get yourself feeling better about yourself. You find yoga, you're getting off these medications, you're doing all the work on yourself, and then COVID hit. How did that impact you?
That was good and hard and good.
Nice. Tell me more. Most people say it was fucking horrible, right? So for you to say like, it was good, like, how did that happen?
Yeah. What had drawn me to practicing at the club was, kind of at the same time that I was getting into yoga, I was deconstructing my religious upbringing. And so these were happening like ships passing in the night. I'm getting involved in a yoga community and in a more yogic ideology and spirituality, and separating from a lot of Christianity.
Yeah.
And, taking everything down to the studs. And so I was finding a lot of safety and sanctuary in the studio itself and in my fellow yogis. So then lockdown happens and we're not going to the studio, and I'm also not going to church. So it was like stripping everything away.
Wow.
And it's just me. What am I going to do with that? So I put out a beach towel in my garage and I started practicing by myself. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to lead myself through a practice. I didn't have a primary series or anything. I was just going off of what I knew, which was basically making up my own power vinyasas or sitting in meditation or sitting in yin. And it really was powerful for me, because when everything else goes away, this is what I chose to do. And it really kept me sane.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you did what most other people avoided, which was turning inward.
I absolutely. And that's probably the first time in my life when I really turned inward and tuned everything else out and just asked myself, what do I want and where am I being drawn?
Yeah. Now, what about your career, or not your career, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your faith. Like now, where are you with your faith journey? Like, are you still a believer, or do you still practice Christianity in some way, shape, or form? Have you thrown everything out? Like, where are you now?
That's a great question.
Still thinking.
Depending on the day, I have a different answer for it. My family officially separated from church, church as a construct a couple years ago. While we were, deconstructing, asking questions, moving in a different direction, we knew we were leftist and progressive and queer affirming, but we wanted to participate because we had both grown up, my husband and I, evangelical. And
so he grew up in evangelical too. Yeah. Oh, same religion. Oh, I did not know.
Yeah,
that.
Different flavors, but
how did you guys meet?
My husband went to college with my older brother.
Oh, nice.
And my brother came home one semester and said, Shelley, I met this guy. His name's Chris White, and you're going to marry him one day. That's a true story.
That's so cute. Oh my gosh.
So we wanted to keep our kids involved, even though it just didn't feel authentic anymore. We were going through the motions, and I would pray on Sunday mornings, like, God, tell me when it's time to leave. And I was like dragging myself through molasses to get there every Sunday. So 2 summers ago, my husband and I went to Pride downtown and went to the parade and took pictures, and I posted them. And I was involved with my church's music ministry. I would sing and play piano and helped a lot in that department, which is all volunteer.
Oh yeah. I used to be a part of a church choir too.
Yeah. After those pictures got posted, there was a meeting held about me, and I was disinvited from any public facing ministry, including music or like helping in kids ministries.
Wow.
It was really heartbreaking.
That is.
And it was,
Yeah.
it's hard to talk about because the pastor and his wife were very sympathetic, and the kind of church we were in, it functions almost like a parliament. Everyone has a vote. Yeah. And he got outvoted. He didn't want it to go this way, but it did. And, this is his congregation. And so we had a very tearful and bittersweet parting of ways. And I got the official email, you can't be involved in music anymore, but we'd love for y'all to stay. And I'm like, how do you square this? Listen to what you're saying.
I mean, like, seriously, like, oh, you can still come. We want your tithing, but you can't participate in any of the fun stuff that you like it.
Exactly. Yeah. Wow. Essentially, you can be here, but we don't trust you.
Wow. That's so insulting.
I got the email and I called Chris and I said, okay, this is the sign we've been waiting for. Yep. It is time to leave.
Yep.
And that was 2 years ago, almost exactly, because this is June.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walked away and we explained to our kids why we were walking away, and they had our backs 100%. They were like, they were sad to leave their friends, but, basically said, we don't want to go there anyway if they're not going to, if they don't like gay people.
Right.
So I was really grateful just to see that, to see the hearts of my kids.
I was going to say, like, that's very inspiring that you have that openness with your kids, because, me growing up, it was totally different. And obviously with you growing up, it was even different, you know, but the fact that you're open and you're honest with your kids and you make it so that, whatever your sexual preference is, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You're still loved.
Right.
So do you go to church now?
No.
Oh, wow.
So I think, 2 years later, after all that, I did even more disenculturating and just questioning, and a lot of reading and a lot of listening. And I think on any given day, I might call myself a Christian agnostic.
Mm-hmm.
What I believe is that I love the words of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in the Bible as one whole unbroken religious text. I don't think it speaks with one voice. I don't believe that everything in the Bible as we know it is what I'm supposed to be following.
Right.
And I also love a lot of other faith traditions.
Oh yeah,
outside of Christianity.
For sure.
And
well, there's major threads through all religion.
There are.
So it's like when we always pit religions against each other, or we have religions that restrict what we can do. It's like at the root of all religions, it's like, be kind to other people, treat your body well, don't kill anybody, right? It's like, these are the basics of life. So why do we have to fight it? Like, why can't we be a little bit of everything?
Yes, that's kind of how I feel these days. Mm-hmm. And I feel a little witchy, and I feel a little Buddhist, and I feel a little Christian, and I feel a lot of different things.
Exactly. And
I charge my crystals in the full moon.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Nat?
I think that describes a lot of us. Like she says, to charge our crystals in the full moon and celebrate Christmas.
Yeah.
We walk both those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Shelley, I was wondering, were you able to maintain any kind of a relationship with the pastor? I'm really fascinated that the pastor would have more grace with the situation than the community at large.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. Thank you for that. I think, so the short answer is no, we don't have a relationship anymore. We had a very amicable parting of ways. And I think that we heard each other, heard like HEARD. We heard each other. What I had understood all along about this church was that my family was the minority. We were the bluest and the farthest to the left of the church that we were in. And when we joined, we told the pastor that and left it open to him. Like, we don't have to be here. There's people here that we love. We'd like to stay, but if you think this is not the place for us, we can go find somewhere else. And what he had told us was, please don't leave. We need more people like you here, because his vision was to be a microcosm of the kingdom, that we need all types and all flavors of Christians here.
Yeah.
So I'll be honest, in the end, it did feel like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you want me here, but as long as I don't make any noise.
You're just part of the quota.
Mm-hmm. So I was honest with him about that it felt disingenuous, and he acknowledged that he understood why it felt like that. And he was sorry that this is how it had all shaken out. And I said, look, I understand this is like, being blue in a red state. I did not vote for the people on your presbytery, so they're not going to vote in my best interest.
Right.
I understand that. I didn't elect them. They're not going to have my back. They don't agree with me. But can I said, I'd like to leave you with an invitation, and that is to consider, are you policing everyone's social media that goes to your church? Like what kind of precedent are you setting here?
What about freedom of speech?
Yeah. And, are the people on the right in your congregation that are posting openly racist and classist and xenophobic rhetoric online, are you disinviting them from ministry too?
Right.
Or is it just people like me?
It's just people like you. Yeah. Because you don't fit into what you said earlier is the majority over there.
Right.
And that's what's amazing to me is that when Christians pull this kind of shit, where it's like they disinvite people, they treat people differently because they don't agree with them, and even like, in Catholic religion, if you get a divorce, you can just forget about being Catholic anymore. It's like, how can you just do that to someone? Like, you're not committing murder. You're not harming your children. You're not getting beat by your husband or beating him. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense to me when you think about it. And it's like, that's where I think organized religion can go wrong is because they are human running it.
Absolutely. Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about your yoga journey. So what brought you back? Obviously, the crying brought you back. The way you felt brought you back. But like, what did you kind of like explore more? How did that kind of impact your life?
Yeah. So one of my biggest takeaways right away was there's no mirrors in here. And I have a long history with disordered eating and, just body issues. It's dime a dozen,
You're a woman.
I'm not trying to discount it, but tale as old as time.
Yeah.
And I had historically not been a fan of working out. My husband is really into weightlifting.
Oh yeah.
And it makes him really happy. And I love that for him. And it never made me happy. And so I started going more into the yoga studio, like, okay, there's no mirrors in here. Nobody's looking at me. I don't have to look at myself, and I can just focus on what it feels like and what my body can do. And I have Ehlers-Danlos, which is a hypermobility.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had that.
Yeah.
Tell our listeners about it.
It's kind of ill-defined. Ehlers-Danlos is essentially a collection of symptoms. It's a genetic condition. It's the biggest thing about it is that it makes you hypermobile. So like really intense flexibility, what we used to call double jointed.
Yep.
Party tricks like starting with your hands behind your back and then pulling them over your head, stuff like that.
Yeah. Like contortionist kind of stuff.
Stuff. Yeah. So I've always been very flexible. It can also cause you a lot of problems because if you are hyper flexible, you never really feel like you can actually stretch.
Yeah.
Because your bones get in the way. Like I can fold in half, but I don't feel anything in my hamstrings because my hamstrings are so long.
Right.
So,
and because you're the laxity of your tendons and your ligaments as well. So that laxity makes it hard for you to get strength because you have to work harder in some ways because
it's harder for me to build muscle.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Me too. Like I don't have the genetic disorder of it, but I am hypermobile, not to the extreme that you are. And
you've seen me.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Like we've practiced together a lot. And it's like, okay, what can a Shelley do now? What can I make this little pretzel girl do?
Yeah.
Now, Shelley is the girl on Instagram that puts the cool pictures up, but you can love her because she can do it and she does it not for the ego of it.
Thank you. I try.
Exactly.
But that's been an interesting thing in the past couple of years. Just, I'm getting older. My body is changing. There are things I could do a few years ago that I can't do anymore. And I have been experiencing some ego death over that.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah. Like looking at videos of myself with my ankles behind my head. And I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
And
I know.
What was I believing about myself when I could do that?
Right.
And now that I can't do it.
What's interesting, a couple years ago, we interviewed a guy that I did my 500-hour yoga teacher training with, this guy named Zeke. And he would say like, hey, if you can put your feet behind your head as a yogi, that doesn't mean that you're like some amazing person. You can still be an asshole with your feet behind your head.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
it doesn't say anything about you that you can't do that anymore. It says at one point you could do it. Do you need to do it every day? I don't really think you do.
I don't think so.
No,
Yeah. Can
no.
I sit in meditation is the real question.
Exactly.
Can I pause before I react?
Yes, exactly. So you went through teacher training during COVID then?
I was the first class outside of COVID. So
Gotcha.
I did my teacher training in the summer of, 2022.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we were mostly outside still. I was so tan. Oh my gosh. I was outside for like 4 or 5 hours a day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
I love that.
my faculty was, her name's Diane Benvenuto. She was the teacher of the first class I took at that club.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Which was really beautiful that she got to be my yoga mom.
Yeah. She is the greatest yoga mom.
She's amazing.
Diane and I have like a very crazy background together.
You have a lot of like intersecting points,
Yes.
right?
Very, very cool intersecting points. So her husband, Phil, and I used to work together in the beer business when I lived in Richmond and he was in Northern Virginia. And I would call on the same distributor that he worked for.
Okay.
And then he knew my husband being in the beer business. And then Diane was in the beer business as well.
Mhm.
So it was like all these things. And then all of a sudden we moved down here and Brian's like, do you remember Phil Benvenuto? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, he's moved here. He lives here too. So we like went out to dinner, find out that she's a big yogi. It was like, wow, this is crazy. It was
love
really
that.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw her yesterday in
Aw.
class. We got to take together with Rocky. Yeah. But it's just neat because what I love about yoga, especially in San Antonio, is that it does build community.
Absolutely.
It builds lifelong friendships and relationships that are way deeper than like, I mean, I hate to say it. Somebody's probably going to get pissed at me for saying this, but like, the booster club moms or the PTO moms, like they have relationships, but it's like they still are there because of their kids. They're not there because of their love of something like yoga, or to practice together. And it's just neat because you meet so many different people,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
people I never would have crossed paths with or thought I had anything in common with.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just a neat thing. And it's neat to think about the fact that like you, like me, started at a studio, got your teacher training at the studio, and then stayed there and
Mm-hmm.
taught at the studio, which like is a hard thing to transition. Did you find that difficult?
I don't know because I don't have anything to compare it to.
Mhm.
It felt very natural to me.
Good.
It just felt like my natural progression. And when I was practicing regularly before YTT, I had no intentions of becoming a teacher. Even kind of emphatically, like people would ask me, "Oh, are you going to become a yoga teacher now?" And I'm like, "No, this is
For you.
This is for me.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to hustle. I'm not trying to grind.
Right.
I already have my own business
Yeah.
and this is just for me." And then in the span of like 2 weeks, 3 different people asked me if I was considering doing, and I have a rule of 3s. If I hear something 3 times, I can't ignore it. I have to at least put some thought into it.
That's a great
And
rule.
the
I
rule
like
of
that.
3s, it has helped me so much because it helps to kind of filter out the noise, like what keeps coming back up for you, whether you want to call it the cosmos or fate or whatever.
Mhm.
If you hear it 3 times, just listen.
That's so interesting.
And so I had heard from Diane and from 2 other teachers in the span of a couple weeks, you should consider doing the yoga teacher training. And so I had it in my head and then I was going to sign up and then I crashed my bike.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I was banged up real bad. I had staples in my head because I wasn't wearing a helmet, which I know it was horrible. Don't recommend.
Wear your helmet.
Wear your helmet, everybody. And so I missed the deadline to register. And that was the last yoga teacher training that was led by a teacher named Jess, who I cared very deeply about. And she had been one of the people encouraging me to do it. And the next year she died of breast cancer.
Oh God, that's right. Yeah.
And that really kind of solidified for me. Okay. And then the next time it's my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's my turn. And so I did it on the next semester, which was that following summer. And after I graduated, I was like, well, of course I've got to teach. You know,
You got to share it.
I have to share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my class was 10 people. 5 of us became teachers and 5 of us remained students. And we're grateful, to have gone through the experience, but had no interest in teaching. But I was like, I have to teach, and I need to teach here because this place built me.
Yeah.
And so it just felt natural. I didn't interview at other studios. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I was like, if they don't hire me here, I'll just wait until they're auditioning again.
Yeah.
And I was hired the first audition that we had after our class graduated, and I started teaching and just never looked back, never wanted to teach anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I love practicing at other studios. I love how other studios operate and other teachers teach. And I feel no pull to be anywhere else than where I am right now.
Yeah, it's perfect. Well, I mean, you've spent so much time kind of working on yourself and your journey through your mental health and figuring things out. I feel like yoga came at the right time to be the right tool in your toolbox.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. It's crazy to think about the fact that like you grew up, because you're not like looking at Shelley. She's got cute little tattoos, not always cute. I guess I should just say she's got tattoos. She's tattooed.
Some of them are nerdy.
Some of them are nerdy. Yeah. Tell us about your tattoos just so that we can tell our.
I have a few matching ones. So my siblings and I all have matching tattoos.
All 9 of them?
All 9 of us. Yeah.
Wow.
My mom had done a cross stitch that had different Hebrew names of God that start with Jehovah. And there were 9 of them. And so we all picked one and got them tattooed. So mine is Jehovah Shalom, which, so that was my first tattoo. And shalom, colloquially, we think of it as meaning peace, but it actually means universal flourishing, which is not too far away from what yoga means, which is unity or union.
Yeah, exactly.
So that felt very right for me. I got this tattoo years ago, but way before my yoga journey. And then when I was researching the Sanskrit, it pulled back into focus for me. Like, this is my dharma.
Yeah, it's your path. It's your path.
And then I have a Les Mis tattoo because Les Mis is my favorite musical. That's the one most people comment on. And then my sister and I have Gemini tattoos because we're both Geminis. And it's Gemini season.
It is Gemini season.
Tell me happy Gemini season.
Happy Gemini season. I know I better, because Geminis will get pissed if you don't wish them.
Will.
Yeah, exactly. Out of all of the horoscopes signs I know. Yeah. Happy Gemini season. Happy soon birthday too. Because your birthday is coming up.
It's a great month for me.
It really
is. My birthday
is.
And it's Pride Month. I love summertime, so I'm very happy right now.
I know. It's a good time of year. It's a really good time of year. Tell me a little bit more about kind of how you felt when you first started teaching and now.
I bet a lot of teachers will agree with me here. I knew everything when I started teaching.
Yes, you did, right? Totally. That is totally how we see it.
I knew everything. Yeah. I had feedback for every teacher when I took their class.
You were one of those.
I was one of those, and I know nothing.
Yeah.
I am a student to my core, and I learn more from my yogis than they learn from me. I'm sure of it.
Yep, I feel you. I'm the same way.
And it's not that deep.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I put so much pressure on myself to have the perfect sequence and the perfect music and the perfect fade ins and fade outs. And am I saying every Sanskrit word correctly? And am I cueing everything? Breath, movement, drishti. I was very ashtangi, very rigid, and it's just not that deep.
No.
Do you follow Yogi Brian?
Oh, yes. Yes. I love him.
Yoga.
It's just fucking yoga. Exactly. It is.
It's just fucking yoga. And I'm not your guru and I'm not your pastor. I don't have words of wisdom for you.
No.
You have it in you.
Well, and that's what we've talked about that before, because I've taken Shelley's class a bunch and, I've given her feedback. I'm like, Shelley, you have a lot of knowledge to share. I'm like, start to use those as like little nuggets, like weave a theme in, and you're like, oh, I just don't really feel comfortable with that.
I know.
It feels very inauthentic.
I'm working on it.
You are killing it now.
Thank you.
But I think that the thing is that it's not about, like, being a yoga teacher does not mean that I'm a better yogi, a better human, or more intelligent now than I was before or ever to anybody else in that space. It is a co-created environment, right?
Absolutely.
Like, to be a yoga teacher, you need yoga students, right? And so when you're there, it's a shared experience. It's a co-created experience where, sharing your kind of nuggets can be seen as a universal truth or a universal tie together, right? So it's like something that brings people together. Like, even just the fact of like, the weather lately in San Antonio has been crazy, right? So the flood, we've had lots of rain and crazy water and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you can just talk about, hey, sometimes you got to go through some shit, like, right? Like you got to go through a little bit of like feeling like you're going to drown, but you're going to come out on the other side. Like this is a very bad, obviously, analogy here. So.
Yeah, but no, I told a story a few weeks ago that I pull back up maybe every 3 or 4 months. So people that have been in my class for a long time have heard it multiple times by now. But I talk about Pixar and how they have this big mural at their headquarters that says you can't skip Act 2. Because Pixar are the best storytellers in the world.
Yes, for
and
sure.
Act 1 is always so fun for them to write, and Act 3 is so fun to write, but Act 2 is like 80% of the story, and it's so hard for them to write because how do you keep people engaged? How do you keep the story moving forward without losing them, without losing your audience? How do you keep it all together so you can have your big payoff?
Right.
And so I talked about that in one of my yin classes. We were in a puppy dog pose. And I had them there for a really long time. We stayed in the puppy dog for like 7 or 8 minutes.
Right.
And I just told them that story about how, we love getting into puppy. It feels so good. The stretch in your arms and in your spine. And we love coming out of it. The payoff is so good. You feel so tall and so open. But those 5 minutes in the middle really suck.
Yeah. Right.
And you don't have one or the other without the middle. So I told that story and I was like, Adrienne would love this.
I do love that. I love that. And that's it. It's not that you're better than somebody else when you're weaving something in. It's not like you're trying to share like a profit, It's more about you're relating, right? You're giving somebody something that they may be going through the same thing, right? Or they may feel, akin to that in some way, shape, or form that makes them be able to be with you in a different way, right? That's what I'm talking about when I feel yoga friendships run deep, right? You start deep and they stay deep, and there's obviously human error in all those relationships. And I've found that I have lost some yogi friends over the years due to human interactions, right?
Sure, yeah.
But for the most part, when you get to experience yoga with another human being, there's a tie, because you make you feel better than when you first walked in.
Oh, yeah. I've never left a class being like, oh, I wish I hadn't taken that class.
Okay, question for you. When it comes to yoga, okay, and your experiences as a teacher, what are some of the craziest things that you've seen, heard, or been a part of, like in a class? Like I've had a lady throw a yoga block at me, like not at me, but like kind of away from me. Like I went to hand it to her in a yin class and she like picked up her head, grabbed the block and threw it. Like she didn't need it. And I was just like,
wow.
Okay. Had that. I've had a lady come in pantyhose, control top pantyhose.
Stop.
As leggings.
No.
With runs.
No.
And no underwear.
Oh, that's
Adrienne, that's so weird.
It was so weird.
That's a sanitation issue.
It literally was like, I was like, oh my God, she cannot go into class. I don't know if she knows. Like, I don't know what's going on in her head. This was when I lived in Chicago and I was like, oh, I have got to make sure this woman is not walking in there looking like that. And she was very much like, oh, okay, I understand. Bye. And like was very lackadaisical about it and just left. It was weird. It was very weird.
Wow.
I've had that. I've had a friend of mine who had a guy in a yoga class whip it out and start playing with it while she was teaching.
Oh
yeah.
I had a guy raise his hand one time in the middle of class and asked to go to the bathroom.
Like, this is not high school. Here, let me hand you the pass.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Oh my gosh. I mean, I've had people like, I have one student that I love to death, and she comes and takes my classes in the afternoon, and she doesn't sweat in any other like fitness class she's taken. And she's like, I just don't sweat. I don't know what it is. I just don't sweat. And I'm like, oh girl, I sweat enough for the both of us.
Sure.
I'm like, you'll have fun in this class. Don't worry. And it's a heated yoga class with light weights. And she gets to like Sunbi And as I'm teaching, she screams my name out, Adrienne, Adrienne. And I like look over and I'm like, oh my God, is she okay? Like, did she break a leg or something? And she goes, look, I'm sweating. I'm sweating. So now when she comes to class, I get like so excited. She's like, oh my God, I sweat so much in your class. I'm like, that's amazing.
That's the best thing you could have said to me.
Exactly.
I love that. I'm trying to think. I don't have anything nearly that wild.
Yeah.
There was one time, this is less yoga and more just weird. There was a girl at my club who had struck up a friendship with me and gotten super familiar very fast. Like one of those people, it almost felt like she was trying to like
wear you as skin.
Yes, very much that. Like would say things like, I'm so jealous of your life, and like offer to pick my kids up from school just randomly and be like, no one's ever helped you until now and I'm here to help you. And I'm like, first of all, I never said that.
Wait, what?
I have tons of help.
Oh my God. I got 9 siblings. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And we were doing a special class for Christmas I was co-teaching it with Chu Chin and Rocky. And it was a big deal. We were doing a 90-minute power flow class, and it was going to be hot, and we had a ton of people coming, and she offered to come help. And I was like, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So she comes to class, helps me get set up ahead of time, and then stays and takes class. And you can't see, but I'm doing air quotes, faints during class. And I'd never seen this from her before. And at this point, I've known her a couple months, and she just passes out in class, and a bunch of people like rush her, and her fiance was there too. Her fiance, who she claims was a doctor. And so we pull her out of the room. They keep doing class without me. And she's like kind of coming to, and she's like, what happened? And her fiance goes, it's okay, babe. Everything's fine. Your makeup looks great. I'm like, something weird is going on here. And she's like, I'm not even wearing makeup. She's got a full face of makeup on. And so she texts me afterwards like, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to ruin your day. I have this condition and I pass out sometimes. And I was like, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Like, I'm just glad you're okay. And she wouldn't let it go and just kept being like, no, I just feel so bad. I hope you don't think I was trying to make that about me. And just kept this chain going for and I was like, girl, it's fine. Yeah. I'm not upset about it. We can drop it.
Yeah.
And she would not let it go. So I turned to my husband and I'm like, I'm just going to say this now. I don't want to be rude, but I need you to have heard me say this later. There's something about her I don't trust.
Yeah. It's creepy.
And then, over the next couple months, kind of everything she had said was a lie, and people were contradicting her stories, and her fiance wasn't even a doctor. It was, and she ended up moving away and getting out of my life. But it was the most bizarre, like, super
single
short
white
amount
female.
of time. It was single white female. And she's like,
God.
I think I'm going to do yoga teacher training, and started posting like yoga influencer content on Instagram, like arbitrarily. The whole thing was so wild.
That's creepy.
My husband was like, yeah, she kept texting me. It was insane.
You had
insane
like
behavior.
A yoga stalker.
Sort of.
Like creepy. I've never had that.
It was so weird. And then she just like bounced out of my life and texted me a couple times, and I never responded. And then she shut down all her socials. And I'm like, was that a ghost? Like, did that actually happen?
Was she just a figment of my imagination? Did I hallucinate her?
It was wild.
That's wild.
But yeah, fake passing out in a yoga class for attention was probably the craziest thing I've ever experienced.
I've had a kid in a yoga class pee on the mat.
No.
Yeah, it was hard. They were like 8 or 9 years old.
Oh, poor baby.
The hardest part was, how do you get said yoga mat up when you don't have any towels in this? Because I was in a school gym and it was after school. So I was like, I can't let it get on the floor. So I'm trying to like hold the ends of the yoga mat and
my God.
make a
little knapsack.
Like a little knapsack pee bottle bucket. It was awful. It was awful. And the poor little girl, I was like, all right, let's go. I'm like, we got this. I'm like, we'll find something to help us out. But yeah, I mean, shit goes wrong on the yoga mat just like it does in real life too, I guess. But yeah, yoga stalkers are creepy. That's scary. It's really scary. And that's the thing is, like, as a yoga teacher, you know, you, like you said earlier, like, we're not gurus. We're just normal humans.
Yeah.
And we want to practice. We want to play around. We want to have fun. But like,
I don't have a special knowledge
No.
that you don't have.
No, exactly. And like, I find it interesting when students do put their teachers on pedestals, because I'm like, don't do that to me. Don't put that pressure on me to be something.
I'm going to let you down.
Yeah, that's like, I am going. I've said this so many times in my class. Like, I really do need to get like some sort of like tattoo on my hand that's like a right and a left that's different, so that I can like really actually get it right. But I joke about it all the time. I'm like, I'm terrible with my rights and lefts. And I said, if you expected a yoga guru, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm just a mom that loves yoga. I'm just right here with you. I may know a little bit more because I've written the class for you, but you get to do whatever the hell you want. Suffering's optional. That's it. What else? What else you got for me? What can others learn from your story?
I think, and we joked about this when we did the mindfulness event the other day. What I do think I have that is an ad, and I wish I knew how to teach it, but be open-hearted.
Yeah.
My heart is my most open chakra.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I have no regrets about it, even if it gets me into trouble, even if I get disappointed because I left myself open and someone disappointed me. I will never regret being open-hearted and loving hard and caring deeply.
Yeah.
Care deeply.
Yeah.
We don't care enough about the things we care about. And I am so over being nonchalant about things. Like, I fucking love my life, and I love the people in my life and what I get to do and how I get to share it. And I'm not going to be quiet about it because that's boring.
Exactly. It is. It is.
Be loud about the things you love, even if it's something as ubiquitous as your local yoga class.
Yep. And just, I think too, like you say, like caring about something, right? Like showing up for other people, being open-minded, being open-hearted, and being able to, I'm a very open-hearted person. I don't think that,
you are.
I don't think that I would ever regret my open-heartedness as much as I've been hurt by it. Right. And I've been burned many, many, many times, but I feel like that's part of it. It
has to be. Yeah.
Yeah. It's part of the journey, and it's part of like the balance of opposites, like you're going to have some valleys, you're going to have some shit you go through, but being open-hearted and being there for others and caring for not just yourself, but the greater good. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing that's going to hurt you with that.
Right.
You may get bruised, bumped.
You'll get bruised, but it's also, you have a greater capacity to receive love and kindness.
Yep.
By the same token.
Yeah, absolutely.
A couple weeks ago, I told my class, I like energetically limped in the door. And I was waiting for biopsy results. So I was very distracted. Everything's fine, but I was waiting for biopsy results. Yeah. And I told my class, I got down low and I said, how's everyone doing? And they're like, good. And I'm like, great. I'm not doing good.
It's good for you.
I'm not doing good. And I'm going to need your energy today because I have no energy to bring.
Yeah.
And
I was in that class.
You were in that class, Natalie.
Yeah. And I appreciated it. And I knew a little, like I knew that you had something going on just because we worked together. But I don't know. I thought that was really, I don't know if brave is the right word, or very human or very relatable, instead of like, I mean, you didn't say it in a way where it was like, oh, woe is me, let's make this about me. But it was just very honest.
Yeah.
And I thought it set a really nice tone for the class. It's like, okay, we're here in this honest space. It's like, it's not negative, it's not positive. It is real.
Yeah. And I say that a lot at the beginning of class. This is not a check your feelings at the door. You can, whatever's going on with you, bring it with you and we'll deal with it here.
Yeah. And
you can leave with it, or you can leave it on your mat and I'll mop it up.
Right. Right.
But bring it with you because you can't leave what's going on outside this door.
No. That is so true, because that's the idea of like, when you don't deal with your feelings, you don't deal with your emotions, and then you just kind of put them away. They get stuck in you. They
get stuck in your body.
Exactly. With disease, with illness, stress,
fatigue,
all of those things happen to you. And it's like, when you start to notice a part of your body that is aching or in pain, think about the emotion that could be associated with that pain or that area of your body, right? Like, I had a really interesting conversation with a client the other day, and we were talking about the gut, in the kind of that gut instinct. And she's like, my life has been falling apart lately. And I have been feeling horrible. Like I can't eat. I'm sick all the time. And I'm like, you're also in a relationship with someone who has cheated on you, and you wanted a divorce for so long, but now he wants the divorce. So he's flipped the script on you.
Yeah.
Right.
She probably feels like some self-betrayal there.
Right. And I said, if you think about your gut, your solar plexus, that's self-confidence, that's
Self-worth,
willpower, that's self-worth, that's determination, that's discipline. So that's what you wanted, but it was given to you in a different way, and it hurts. And that's okay that it hurts. Now let's get rid of that hurt. Let's move the energy.
Yes.
Right? That's what yoga is about. That's what most movement is about.
It's about moving energy.
Alleviating your suffering, moving the energy out. Like, because we don't truly believe, or, people will think it's very woo-woo-y when we talk about chakras, but like, if you go back and look at the history of chakras, it's in most of medicine.
It is.
Right? Like there are nerve bundles that happen in different parts of your body along your spine. And those areas can hold on to ease and dis-ease.
Yes. I mean, doctors now are like discovering meridians as if
Right.
we haven't known about the meridians
Right.
for centuries.
I was listening to a great Theo Von episode the other day with Dr. Gabor Mate, I think his name is, and he talks about kind of like, somatic kind of trauma being stuck in your body and kind of what that looks like. And it's just really interesting to me when you kind of peel back your ego a little bit and just look at your body and go, this is something that I should have learned how to operate as a kid, right? Like I learned to read and write and maybe do a little bit of math, mostly girl math.
Girl math.
But I didn't learn to breathe, and I didn't learn how my own body works. Because it's like we've been trying to look like other people, right? Whether it's like Anatomical Man or, the cool Bikram guy or some other, cool CrossFit guy, whatever it is. It's like, no, but like, what's the torsion on your bones? Like, what's your Q angle from your, hip to your knee? Which way do your knees turn, right? Like, how do you know how to fix an external rotation of your hips and keep it more neutral, right? Like those things are like, why did we not teach this? We would be so much happier, so much healthier, so much more in our bodies.
Yes.
In our bodies instead of up in our damn heads. It's very interesting.
It makes me so happy and so grateful when I hear my kids tell me something like, it's too loud for me in here, or
yes.
Can you pancake me? I'll like lay on top of them. Just that my kids are, and our generation of kids that we're raising are having a more somatic adolescence.
Yes.
Which we all should have had, but
we all should have. Right.
That I get to give that to my kids is tell me what's going on in your body and how are we going to deal with it. And Harley, my 10-year-old, who has a lot of big feelings, she struggles with the 8-year-old. Came to me the other day and said, "Mom, Lucy was really bothering me," and I went like this. She put her hand on her heart. She goes, "Whew." I was like, "Harley, do you know what you just did?" And she's like, "Coping skills?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, it's coping skills."
Fuck yes, Harley, that's coping skills, baby. That's what we want. Yes.
Oh my God.
It's
so
just
many adults can't.
I know so many adults can't do that.
Not at all.
Pause before reacting.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's so right.
That's
I didn't even think about the somatic aspect of like my childhood, right? It was like, don't cry. Oh, you're hurt? Rub it. Are you bleeding? Yeah, shake it off. You're bleeding out your eyes? Well, you're fine. You're fine. Just rub it. Nothing's, it was never.
Don't cry. Calm down.
Don't cry. Calm down. Right. Like you're overreacting. Right.
You're
like
being dramatic.
You're being dramatic.
I got that a lot. Baby sister.
Right.
Energy.
Exactly. It's crazy to think about that. And I'm proud of you for everything that you've done. And you're very inspiring as a mom, as a yogi, as a human. So I appreciate that you getting to share your story with our listeners and with me. And I'm just really excited to see where this yoga journey goes for you, because you're really flourishing right now. I think you've hit your stride, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for you. I don't know what I did before we met, but I know your landing was kind of rocky when we started working together, but you blew me away with how you took that in stride and made something incredible out of that experience. Like you truly made a gorgeous mandala
Thank you.
out of your experience there. And I love that I get to be a part of it, and then we get to be friends and learn from each other.
Me too. You're gonna make me cry. No, it means the world to me. It means the world to me, really. I mean, it's something that this has been a really hard transition for me because I did come in and I was the outsider, and I have a different perspective on things. And I don't think that the perspective that I have is to go against the foundations of what we have.
No.
It's more about like, let's just be open. Let's be open to explore, right? Like we can't stay in one bubble and expect to grow.
Yeah.
We have to explore else.
And you kept that and also acknowledged, okay, maybe I didn't do this right the first time.
Exactly. I was
and
like, oh, I fucked that
a lot
up.
to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was just to see you be like, okay, yeah, I was wrong about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I will always admit when I'm right, when I'm wrong. I'd rather be right, but I will admit when I'm wrong, and I will take ownership for things. And sometimes I'll take ownership for things that I don't need to. And I recognize that. But for me, it's more about like, I look at every person that's on my team and I go, one day you're going to be my boss. Right. And that's what I want. I want you to be my boss one day. Like to me, that's what my job is to make it so that you have everything that you need to be an amazing yoga teacher, to lead a fulfilling life, and to, make your mark on the club.
Yeah. I heard a mom say one time, I want my ceiling to be my kid's floor.
Ooh, I
feel like
that.
that's how you
Nice.
operate.
That's great. Yeah,
I think about that a lot.
fantastic.
I want my ceiling to be my kid's floor.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. Because I always think of myself as like the dance mom behind the curtain with the flowers.
Yeah.
And seeing you go out on stage and kill it. And then me, being behind stage being like, yes, here's your flowers. Let me get a picture.
Yeah.
Let's go to dinner.
But you're also killing it on stage. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I've seen your classes.
Well, I really appreciate you coming today. This was so nice.
Thanks for having me.
And don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. Shelley, do you want them to follow you? You can shout out your Insta. If you don't, you don't have to.
Yeah, it's Shelley with an EY, W White. Shelley W White, all together, no hyphens or anything on Instagram. That's where you can find me. It's just a little bit of everything. I do styling sometimes. That was my business. I do style consulting, like wardrobing, and some yoga, and just me having fun. That's basically it. You won't see my kids because I don't post them.
I think that's pretty brave of you to do that too. That's awesome.
Thank you. We are their one line of defense because it's a jungle out there. But come see me over on Instagram.
Sounds good. Thanks, Shelley. Natalie, continue to drive safely.
Yes.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I am at home. You
Yay.
guys totally carried me the last hour in. I pulled into my spot.
Sweet. Sweet. All right. Well, yogis, take care. And we'll hopefully Shelley's going to do a little meditation recording for us.
Yeah,
Oh, I
absolutely.
look forward to that.
So
gonna
you'll
be
get to hear from her, which is always a treat. You will hear from us soon. Have a great day. Bye, yogis.
Bye.
Bye.